Okay, thanks everyone for joining the Taskfeed Spring 20 Highlights webinar. Today we're going to run through what's new for Taskfeed and how this applies to you. I'm Andy Mahood, the CTO of Recursive. Before we go into the new release, I want to give you a little bit of an update on Taskfeed and Recursive. To share with you all about Recursive. In November last year, we finalized the merger between Recursive and Taskfeed to unify onboarding and resource management to accelerate customer success for all of you. As Taskfeed and Recursive come together, this will help you identify the right people for work and provide playbooks for smoother onboarding experiences. One of our existing joint customers summed it up really well. They're really excited about our plans to bring our products closer together. As Taskfeed is now part of the Recursive platform, Taskfeed is being renamed to Recursive Onboarding Experience, or just Recursive OBX. You'll start to hear us referring to Taskfeed as Recursive OBX going forward, and you'll see our product and marketing reflect this over the coming weeks and months. Recursive OBX forms part of our wider platform, including resource capacity optimization and Recursive Services Experience. So Recursive OBX is your onboarding experience. This is the Taskfeed product that you're using today with a new name and a singular focus on working better together to see success faster. The product remains Taskfeed in this release. Over the coming weeks and months, you'll see our product and marketing referring to Recursive OBX. Recursive RCO is part of the existing Recursive product that allows you to plan and allocate resources, forecast capacity to ensure you've got the right team for the work. Recursive PSX is our full platform, expanding on OBX and RCO. That is Taskfeed and the existing Recursive product to provide teams the ability to track project costs, revenue, and margin, along with time and expenses. We're working on a seamless way to manage projects and capacity across Recursive OBX and Recursive RCO, and we're working to help you make better decisions around capacity. I'm really excited about sharing this with you. When it's ready to share, it will be ready to share very soon. Of the entire Recursive platform. These product names are rolling out from today, and as we bring new products to you, these will join the Recursive platform. When we see success. So as for today, board processes to help you define a more bespoke experience for each board type, and board hierarchy, a great new way to organize and structure complex projects. Following this, I'll share a roadmap so you understand where we are focusing. This webinar is scheduled for an hour, but I expect to run for about 30 minutes, leaving time for questions at the end. Don't hold them back. As questions do come in, drop them in the Zoom Q&A panel, and we'll answer them as we go or try and get to them at the end. So let's start with board processes. Today, we've got lots of customers running multiple different teams in Taskfeed. Most customers are managing customer onboarding or implementation projects. Many are managing ongoing customer success activities like QBRs, using repeat tasks, and some others are just breaking out larger work into different work streams. So far, we let you define a list template and a task template to define a board type. Then we pretty much leave it up to you. We haven't given you enough control of these experiences. Now we've created a new tab called Board Types. From here, you can easily control the behavior of each board type from a single place and create new board types without even going to the Salesforce setup or bothering your Salesforce admin. From here, you can set up all sorts of options, including templates, record types, or who should own the board and when. We've seen how hundreds of customers have been implementing Taskfeed and taken some of the most common workflows and automation requests and built them in so they're easier to use and adopt. With board types, you can now also define board processes, which help you create different sets of stages on the stage path for each board type. You can also define which stages represent an active, inactive, or complete board. So that's board types and board processes, and I'm going to show you a bit more in the demo. Now onto board hierarchy, and this is a real big one. Board hierarchies make Taskfeed more powerful and more organized for those of us running complex projects. So if you're working, or you're a team that's working on different work streams or project, or working or having work planned across different sites or locations, or across different products being delivered to the same customer at the same time, then you may want, then what you'd be looking for is a way of grouping that work and those deliverables for each of those different teams. So we want to have some isolation between the different teams, but we also want the work grouped together. And this is what we have achieved with board hierarchy. When boards are defined in a hierarchy, their related boards are shown below in the board view, plan view, and table view. You can expand and drill into each level, and we've updated the plan view to show a percentage complete at the board level. We're going to be rolling this out to parent tasks as well. As you can see, you can build a hierarchy up to 5 levels deep, and we support hierarchies with up to thousands of boards. I'll show you more about hierarchy, about board hierarchy in the demo. So we've covered the two key topics for the Spring 20 release: defining more bespoke experiences for each team with the new board types and board processes, and a great new way to organize and structure complex projects with board hierarchy. So let's dive in. So I'm just going to break into the demo now. So let's start with the board types and processes. The new board types tab can be found in the app switcher. So from here, all we need to do is search for board type, and it's going to bring out all of our board types. When you upgrade, we'll migrate all your existing board types over to the new format so that they're waiting for you. So from the board types tab, you can easily control the behavior of each board type and create new board types without even going into the Salesforce setup menu. So let me dive into this board type that I've created called implementation. Board type, we've introduced new behaviors that you define how each board type should work. You can define a color for each board type to visually identify the boards. From here, you can now define your list and default task templates. These options that will no longer be found on the template itself, but you'll find it on the board type instead. We can see an option for board processes, which I'm going to go to in a little bit in more detail in just a second. So this works like a sales processes on opportunity, if you're familiar with that, letting you define different stages for each board type. We're also giving you more advanced options, like being able to map a record type, so a Salesforce record type to a board type. So admins can now map these board types to record types, which would then allow you to create different page layouts and also different filtered pick lists for each board type. So when this is defined, Taskfeed will change the board's record type based on the option selected here on the board type. We have options around the board owner, like owner role. So this controls who becomes the owner, making sure that the owner is when someone with this role is assigned to the board. So from this option, I'm able to come in here and change this to, for example, project manager. And in doing so, whenever a project manager is added to the board, that project manager will become the owner of that board. The other way this works is if the board is assigned to a queue. If you then go and reassign that board to a user, then that user will be added to the board team with this specific role. So the next field rolls off this, which is the board queue option. Here you'll be able to provide a Salesforce queue name, or a board queue name. And when this is defined, all boards created for this board type will be assigned to that queue. The board and task field sets at the bottom allow you to define custom fields that you want to appear on your board and task edit screens and in the side pane. So if you've got custom fields for a specific board type, you can choose for those to only show up in those circumstances. So this is a huge amount of power to define unique experiences using Taskfeed. So each team or process. So now let's take a little bit of a look into what is a board process. So from here, I can just click into the existing board process and we can see what's been set up as our default board process. So last year, we released board stages to help you track progress and know where you are with each customer in the process. So if I just flip over to Taskfeed in the board view, you'll get a see for what that looks like. So here we've got an Acme implementation global, which is in the kickoff stage. So using the path, we're able to move the board into different stages, and you're also able to map tasks to those stages, so the stages progress automatically. So now with board processes mapped to board types, you can define different board stages for different board types. You can also define whether a stage means the board is active, inactive, or complete. And if it's complete, you can mark it as a successfully closed or successfully complete. You're able to more easily filter out boards that are inactive, active, or complete from your list views in your reports. So with board processes, you can create different sets of stages and assign them to different board types, so each team or different product or service can follow their own process. So let's take a look at what that actually looks like now. So I'm going to go to the board process tab. Actually, I've got it up here. Let me just jump to the board process tab. I'm going to create a new board process for our implementation board type. So I'm going to give this the name. Whoops, here we go. Implementation process. I'm going to mark it as active. So there isn't much to the board process itself, but what I'll do is I'll start to add more information in the board process stage attribute. So I can add a new board process stage. I'm going to give it a name of kickoff. I'm going to remember to mark it as active. And I'm going to make the display order 1 so it comes first. And I want kickoff to be active. I'm going to choose save and new. So next I'm going to choose implementation. Active, I want this to come up second, and I want this to be active. You save and new one more time. And now we're just going to create the final stage, which is complete. You may want to add more. I want this one to come third, and I want this to be closed and marked as successful. So the board itself will be marked as successful with a new field, with a new value on the board. So now I've created this board process. Now I've created this new board process. I can now go back to my board type. Go into my implementation board type and just edit the board process associated with it. To Taskfeed, and I create a new board from that. So what I'm going to do is create 3 new boards now. I'm going to create a team board, which has no stages. I'm then going to create a project board, which should have our default stages. I'm going to put this in kickoff. And this is also going to automatically import a task template based on the board type configuration. And next, I'm going to create our implementation board. That's handy. So this time it's only offering me kickoff, implementation, complete, as that's what I've configured for this board type. So now what I'm able to do from the board menu is bring up those 3 different boards. Maybe just collapse them so we can see that we've got our team board has no stages, our project board has our stages as defined in our default process, and our implementation boards has the 3 that we just created on the session. So that's the new simpler way to manage board types, and also a whole heap of new options to help you define a unique experience for each team, including custom board processes for each team, for each board type. Now onto board hierarchy. So board hierarchies make Taskfeed more powerful and more organized for those of us running complex projects. We've seen how people are trying to organize their work into different work streams or teams, separate phases, break them out by site or location, or group delivery of different products to a single customer. So let's see how we can structure this with a board hierarchy. So I've already got a hierarchy created. If I go into the menu, you'll see that we've actually got this new hierarchy option that appears in here. So this board is related to a hierarchy. I can choose this hierarchy menu item, and it takes us into seeing the whole hierarchy for this project. In this case, we've got it grouped across different geographies. So I can now go and select our Acme implementation global. So we call this one of the parent. This is the parent board, and this has multiple related boards to it. So now you'll see at the bottom of the screen, we've got this related board section. So when a board has related boards, they'll show beneath the parent, and expand drill through the hierarchy. And the same is across the board view and the plan view. So if I expand these boards, it's now just going to allow us to show the two related boards. But we can actually see that there's a couple of boards related to Europe. So I can drill into those two. I can see we've got France, Germany, UK, and actually we've got some boards underneath France as well. We've actually broken it not just down to a country level, but also projects being run at a city level. So from here, we're able to get a very macro view of the overall project, and then we're able to drill down to two specific levels. So what I'm also able to do from here is take this Acme France board and select the name of this one and drill into that specific level of the hierarchy. Again, I can see related boards beneath. So I can get an overview of what's happening within France. But if I want to pop myself back up the hierarchy, we've got this parent board link. Just selecting that pops us back up to the Acme France board, and then back up to the Acme implementation global board. So it's really easy for me to navigate down through the hierarchy or back up the hierarchy. So a great place to see the hierarchy visualized is not only in the board view that we've been looking at now, especially with our really nice graphical path, but also when we get into the plan view. So if I was to navigate over to the plan view now, let me actually collapse that. So we're able to see this high-level overview of all the boards within this hierarchy. And if I wanted to expand through North America, I can do that. Through expanding North America, we can expand into the US, and all the way down to the city level. And maybe I want to see what's happening in Los Angeles. I can just expand the Los Angeles board and see what's happening there. So as you can see, this is a very large project, and we can see a bird's eye view of the work and zoom in all the way to a specific city level board. But because we're now showing the percentage complete at a board level, we get this really nice bird's eye view of how the whole project is, of how this whole large multi-location global project is performing across a number of different months, in a number of different regions, in a number of different cities. You can also give this to customers through external sharing. When you share the parent board, or when you share a board in a hierarchy, they can see all the related boards that are also enabled for external sharing from that single link. And this will really help understand the progress for each board without having to drill into each one, because we now show this percentage complete. The percentage complete for the board also includes its related boards, so we can see complete status overview for each level of the hierarchy. So in this example, the global implementation is at 9%, Europe is at 2%, and North America is at 19%. So the Acme global implementation percentage complete is actually an aggregate of all the work underneath it. So this is the percentage task complete of all the work within this whole entire board hierarchy. So hopefully you'll agree this is a huge step forward and makes Taskfeed more powerful and more organized for those of us running complex projects. So we've covered the two key topics for this session and for the Spring 20 release. The board processes, the bespoke experience for each team with board types, and all these additional controls around board types, including board processes. And board hierarchy, the new way to organize and structure complex projects with board hierarchy. So now we're also working on our roadmap and have some long-running projects that I'm going to share with you. But before that, in terms of a release schedule, we'll be making available over the coming weeks. So first off, with Sandbox availability next week, we're going to follow up with Sandbox upgrade instructions along with the full release notes. And then the following week, week commencing March 9th, you'll be able to upgrade from the App Exchange into your production instance of Salesforce. And then finally, week commencing March 23rd is when so before then we'll be communicating about specific dates around the automatic push upgrade to you. So in terms of the roadmap, before we look ahead, it's useful to always recap on what we have delivered in the past. So over the last few releases, we've been working to help you structure and organize your work. And these improvements include subtasks, task groups, and board stages. And now we also include board hierarchy in this as well. In our last release, there's a huge change to the user interface with the Lightning design and the personalized board and task views. In this release, of course, we've covered board types and processes, and board. So very soon we'll be sharing our combined recursive roadmap and releasing our integrated product to help you better understand and manage capacity. So along with this, we're working with numerous improvements to make the plan view slicker and smoother to work from. And these two items are actually related. Our objective with the integrated view of capacity and resource planning not only gives you the ability to understand the capacity of your team and individuals based on the work that they're managing within Taskfeed or the recursive OBX product, but we also want to make that capacity actionable for you. So when you're working from the plan view or when you're rescheduling tasks or working from Taskfeed, that we're able to surface visualization of the team's capacity within that product. So we're really excited about how we can make that capacity visual for you in the plan view and also when you're rescheduling and assigning tasks. We've also been working on a way to create and modify templates from within the app without the need for uploading CSV files. Including pre-validations and make building templates easier for everyone. And we're calling this the template builder. And finally, there's numerous improvements to how you work with your customers, from improvements around assigning contacts or your customer contacts to tasks, to sharing specific links through external sharing, and also a better community setup experience as well. And we expect all of these. So I'm really excited about customers, the combined team's capacity like no one else is doing. So we're really excited about what this will let us share with you. So thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoy what we've been working on. There's a couple of announcements. We've got the customer onboarding survey, which is now live. There's a link to this from taskfeedapp.com, or you should have also received an email, so please participate. This is research that goes into a report that we will release later in the year. Linked to that, we also are hosting a webinar on the 19th of March between Precursive and Gainsight, sharing research from last year's onboarding survey, but also combining it with some research that Precursive did around capacity management. So this is the state of customer onboarding and capacity on the 19th of March with Precursive and Gainsight. So you should have received an invitation to that already. If you haven't, then please reach out to us at hello@precursive.com. So if any questions, I'm going to be around. I'm going to stay on the line for a few minutes to take those questions from you now.
We have some questions, Andy. So one of the questions that appeared is, do these updates show in Lightning and Classic also?
Yes, so everything we've been showing works across both Classic and Lightning. So if you're still working in Classic, you'll see the same updates for you. However, bear in mind, some of the roadmap that we're working on in the future is going to be focused primarily on Salesforce's Lightning product only. So we do urge you to upgrade.
There's also another question. How do you relate child boards to the parent board to use the hierarchy?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there's a new parent board field added to the board page and the board edit modal. So you're able to that's how you construct the parent and child boards. You're also able to do this through automation. So a number of the customers we've been working with with this version already are using automations are also using automations to build that hierarchy up. But if you want to add that hierarchy manually, then you're able to just add a new board and relate it to a parent.
There's also another question. Will any of the current Taskfeed features stop working with the upgrade? And is it mandatory to set up the new board types, or can we still continue to add new boards the same way as we do today?
Yeah, it's a great question. So there should be no impact on previous functionality. So the board type is kind of a new UI to define board types on top of existing board types that have already been configured from the pick list value. On today, when you upgrade, we'll actually create new board type records from the existing pick list values and automatically set the values based on how templates are already mapped today. So your end users will see no difference. They'll still see the same board types and the same templates being mapped as they do today. In the future, as you make changes to board types and as you implement new board types, you do it from the new board type screen rather than from going and adding a pick list value. But it doesn't change behavior. The new board types essentially sits on top of that existing pick list. So you don't need to change any fields or automation you may have around that. So if there's any, if you're looking to experiment with the new board hierarchy options, what you're able to do is, if we go back to the release schedule, the sandbox availability window, so from next week will be making this in sandboxes. It might actually be a little bit earlier, but from next week we'll be making this available in sandboxes. So from then you're able to install it and get your hands on your board hierarchy feature, see how you're able to manage your board types and take advantage of some of the new features around board types and board processes as well.
There's also another question. Will there be any online tutorials about the new functionalities?
Yeah, that's a great question. We're updating our knowledge base and we'll be sharing release notes, and they'll be published on our knowledge base. And when we communicate the sandbox availability with you, we'll be linking to those release notes. And as we provide further communication around push upgrade, week commencing March 23rd, we'll also be highlighting that documentation on our knowledge base. Okay, so if there are no more questions, you'll be receiving more communication about this over the coming weeks as the availability hits sandboxes and hits the App Exchange, and as we push this out to all of you later in March. If there's any questions, you can always reach out to us at support@taskfeedapp.com. And remember that we've got the customer onboarding survey, which is now live. So there is a link to start that from taskfeedapp.com. And if you haven't received an invite for the State of Customer Onboarding in Capacity on the 19th of March with Precursive and Gainsight, please get in touch and we can make sure that you're added to that invite list. Thank you everyone for joining. I hope you enjoyed everything that you saw today and look forward to talking with all of you about this over the coming months.